Over the past 5 years, I've launched 4 Amazon FBA private label brands. Whereas some people say that Amazon is too saturated, or as soon as you have success, Amazon or a Chinese manufacturer will steal your winning product. I still stuck with it, and fortunately I made it to the other side where now at 24 years old, my brands produce multiple 7 figures a year. But the journey to get to this point was not fun at times. There were some very humbling moments where, I made mistakes and failed to launch products back to back. So what I hope to share with you today is the unique challenges and realistic expectations for becoming a profitable Amazon seller, and really putting an emphasis on how persistence and data-driven adjustments will always negate the need for luck. Of course, I know I'm very lucky to be healthy and born in a first world country, but what I mean is I didn't have instant success on Amazon. I failed, I pivoted, and I tried again. I kept thinking that if all these other sellers can make this business work, I can figure it out too. With that being said, here's the story behind my 4 brands, the lessons I learned from each one, and how these lessons influenced the way I launched the next brand. So for my first brand, I was around 19 at the time. I just dropped out of music production school that I actually received a scholarship for. And this had been my dream growing up, but I randomly lost my passion and fully decided to quit. I knew I wanted to build something for myself. I just wasn't really sure what it would be. So as I searched for different models, I came across Amazon FBA and decided to give it a go. The very first product I decided to move ahead was with this money gun. And at this time I was using Jungle Scout for product research and was pretty confident in my choice. It had strong demand and low competition. I didn't do a ton to differentiate besides focusing on the actual branding, so better custom packaging and branding the money gun itself. My initial goal was to really just see that the model actually worked, get it up and running, and hopefully see some sales coming in. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I found out after buying my inventory that this was restricted due to the fake money, even though there were hundreds of other sellers selling the exact same thing. And this was a rookie mistake and easily avoidable. All I needed to do was create my listing before buying inventory, and I would have found out that I couldn't sell. I begged my supplier for a refund, and after going back and forth for weeks, they're actually kind enough to give me a 30% refund. I still had a huge pit in my stomach just because a lot of people close to me were doubting me and they were right. But that wasn't gonna stop me from trying again. So after that initial loss of about $6,000, I spent some time working more to save up again to launch another product. I was still living at home and I was feeling the pressure and the doubt from my parents. One of my buddies found out that I had tried selling and I'd failed, but he still took interest in the model though, and we decided to launch a new product together and a new brand. So this was the second brand and product in Virosit. I knew exactly what steps to take now and what to avoid due to my last failure. We were super pumped to get this launched. We used Jungle Scout to verify the data and again really just nailed down our branding. We had a much more premium looking product than our competitors at the time, so we were quite confident that we would see success. After about 4 to 5 months, we finally went live on Amazon. We had about a 30-day delay due to Amazon for some reason not actually putting our inventory in stock, but eventually we were live and we started selling consistently every single day. We reached the first page within 30 days and did 5K in sales, which sounds great, but it wasn't. We made a pretty big mistake. We didn't pay attention to the numbers enough, and we realized that after our costs and advertising, it would almost be impossible to actually make money. Our profit was only about 12%, and that was before PPC. So in reality, we were losing money. We decided it wouldn't be smart to reorder, so we sold out within a few months and we didn't reorder. So there was my second failure. This wasn't as bad because I'd seen the results and see that the actual model worked. I just needed to be more thorough with the actual numbers. Now with this, we probably lost about another $1,000 on that product, and so I started to save up again. And at this time, my parents weren't super convinced that this would work and wanted me to have a backup plan. So I went back to school at BCIT to study digital marketing. Not that I really wanted to, but I was living with them, so I ended up going. And at this time, I had a listing up on Fiverr, which is a freelancing platform. I was kind of helping people on the side with product research. And so she had a few partners from LA reach out to me and show interest in wanting to launch a product. So I would do all of the work and they would provide most of the upfront costs. In return, I would get 20% equity. And this was perfect timing because I didn't really have enough money to launch another product at this time. So I quickly got started searching for another product. And that third product was this smell-proof bag, and our brand was called Focused 3. At this point, I had switched over to Helium 10 instead of Jungle Scout, and this was a slightly higher ticket item than the previous products, and I spent a little bit more time actually differentiating it. So we added some bonus items to provide more value to the customers. And after a few months of setting up the product and getting our branding sorted, we were ready to launch. Finally, we started seeing results right away. We reached the first page fast and did almost $10,000 in our first 30 days. I was so pumped to finally see it working. So I quickly dropped out of school to pursue this full time while working on the side, putting up Christmas lights around Vancouver, which is behind me. We had to reinvest lots of the money we made into inventory, and I had 20%, so I wasn't completely financially stable yet. PPC for this product was also restricted, which did hurt us in the long term, which I'll get to in a second. But for the time we started making enough money where I went full time. I moved out of my parents' place into a nice apartment downtown. We did over $100,000 the first year but after that, things started to slow down. So for the category / product we were selling in, PPC was actually restricted, so it became hard to scale past that. I decided to exit from that brand as a result of the difficulty to actually scale. Because things slowed down near the end, I took my last monthly payment and didn't actually ask to sell my shares as things were dwindling down pretty quick, and I was already grateful enough for the opportunity that they actually gave me. At this point, I was pretty confident in my abilities to build a brand and launch solid product. It also came across me from Fiverr, and I can't reveal the exact brand or product, but this was in the office product space. And this was a bit of a higher ticket item, and the differentiation aspect was a lot more complex. We spent almost a year getting this to launch. Changing the actual function and design was our ticket to success. Upon finally launching, everything worked out as planned. This time there were not really any big mistakes, unlike my previous launches. We were doing consistent $10,000 months and pretty quickly started launching more products under the brand. Almost all profits being reinvested back into inventory and new products. We started utilizing external marketing tactics to scale as well, such as influencers and selling on other platforms. Eventually listing on our own website and on Walmart. We had a couple of products which really catapulted our success also, where we saw $50,000 to $100,000 months. This brand is now pretty well on autopilot, with the exception of I will always be a part of choosing and launching new products and finalizing suppliers. Whereas things like inventory management and PPC, we actually have virtual assistants to do this. Now fast forward to now, and I have around 30 products and 4 brands with a few different business partners. I learned important lessons from each brand, although my first few were failures. So here are the main takeaways if you want an easier time succeeding with Amazon. So first of all, persistence will pay off. This is probably the number one reason why I'm successful amongst others. It's also the number one reason why most people fail. Make sure you understand Amazon's terms of service, because they're a very strict platform and there's a lot you can and can't do. Plus a lot of things you can and can't sell, just like I found out with the money gun. Also, stay on top of the numbers and know exactly what profit margin you'll have. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to make money, just like what happened with me with the collapsible metal straws. And finally, make data-driven decisions and always differentiate your products, as this is the most important aspect of the business. If you found this video valuable, make sure to subscribe. And if you want access to my free product research course, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, the links are in the description.